library friends. This is Judy again from the Great Neck Library Children's Department. And I have some ideas of some additional spring craft ideas I wanted to share with you. Now, one thing that's so important in the spring, if you're interested in Earth Day and environmental conservation and things like that, in the spring you want to think about recycling. It's very important. That's one way to go green in the spring. You want to recycle. So, I like recycling because there are just so many craft ideas with recycled materials. And one thing that's interesting that I learned, when I started learning about recycled arts and crafts, is that there's recycling and there's upcycling. So recycling is using a material and making something similar out of it, reusing it again. And upcycling is creating something even of greater value that might be a different type of product than what you started with. So those are interesting things to kind of keep in mind when you are creating recycled crafts or using any material over again. So let's see. I wanted to show you this book because I really like this book. It's called The Little Hands Art Book. And they have a section specifically about recycled crafts, and there are just so many ideas online on Pinterest. So many websites have ideas for crafts you can do with children out of materials that you might have been just throwing away. And if you think about it, there's so many uses for things that you might have just thrown away. So let's see. So one thing that I saw, if you're interested in science and weather, and say for instance you wanted to measure, how much rain has fallen in a given, period of time in a day or wherever, you can create a rain gauge out of recycled material. So for instance, I have here, this is a water bottle. For this, you might want adult supervision for this, because what you're going to do is cut the top off, and that can be kind of difficult. Once you cut the top off, you can invert the top. Then you want to tape it, preferably with a waterproof type of tape, which I didn't have at home, but you should be able to find. And then you can see that you can mark off, measurements, maybe, either inches or centimeters. And you can put this in your backyard for a certain amount of time, and you will be able to see, how much rain has fallen. So the rain will fall in, and there you have a rain gauge out of recycled materials. So that's interesting. If you're interested in science and want to come up with something you can do at home with materials you should have at hand. Another idea that I really like out of, this could be recycled materials, any type of paper that you have. If you have paper of different colors, and type of paper maybe you're not using, magazines maybe you're going to throw out. You can, if you take a few sheets of it and tip it together, then you want to cut a few slits through, and then you can look, you have a tree. You can have a tree with leaves. That's kind of interesting. That's one idea you can do with recycled crafts. These are craft ideas for young children, but obviously recycling you can do with all ages. Here's another idea. This is an old coffee can. You can there's so many uses for things. Like for instance, I put colored paper around this, and I filled it with paper clips. You could put, inside, you could put buttons, you could put coins, and then you'll have, like for instance, if you come to story times at the Great Neck Library, you'll have your own shaker. Or if you like to watch on TV story times, you can shake along to the story time. You'll have your own homemade shaker. You can put different strips of paper, you can paint it, you can color it. A jar, there are just millions of uses. Maybe you were going to throw out this jar, but what else could you do with it? You could plant a seed in it. You could put a flower in it. There's so many uses of a glass jar. You could glue different types of tissue paper to it. So many things you could do. Another thing people don't realize, sand art. That's a great craft. And there are a lot of different color sand that you can buy at a craft store, for instance, Michael's. You can layer the sand. That makes a very interesting, nice bottle with different color sands in it. That's another great idea. That's recycle. Now, this was an interesting idea I hadn't thought of. If you take old, say for instance you have boxes lying around, you just throw them out, or put them out to throw out. You could take a box, cover it with a paper bag. Then you can cut out, windows and doors. You could build a whole little city with buildings out of your boxes and paper bags, and kids have so much fun playing with that type of thing. You could create a whole city out of your old boxes and paper bags. You can color them, you can paint them. That's a fun activity. You don't even have to buy anything. Okay, another thing you can do, here I have tissue paper. I have shells here. You can buy shells at a craft store, but what about, say for instance, this summer, maybe you're walking along the beach, you can find shells at the beach, bring them home, you can paint them, you can, maybe you could make some kind of treasure box or something. You can paint the shells, tape them on, glue, you would want to glue them on, I suppose. You can have so many things you can do. The ideas are really endless for recycled crafts. And what I like about recycled crafts and all crafts really is that you can use your imagination. Maybe you have a certain idea in mind, something you'd like to create, but really no specific template. I like open-ended crafts because then you can, you sort of make things up as you go along, and sometimes what you end up with is different than what you imagined at the beginning, but it can look really great anyway. So many things you can do. Again, I recommend this book, Little Hands Art Book, and this series, Little Hands. There are many art books for kids in this series that you can find at your bookstore and obviously at your library. As soon as we reopen, we will have them. And this book has a special section devoted to recycled crafts. People don't realize, how many materials they have at home that can be made into things. So, for instance, as I was saying, this is the cardboard box neighborhood. So you can create your cardboard box neighborhood with your paper bags and cardboard boxes. You have just so many ideas. The treasure box idea with the seashells. So many things you can do. A paper bag vest. An oatmeal carton drum. So many ideas, really. And obviously, yes, a lot of them are online. You can find many ideas online as well. I'm not sure if those were all my ideas, but it's really endless. So all I would say is, before you throw out things, think about how maybe you could get more use out of them. Oh, look at this one. This is if you have a basket of strawberries, you can put ribbon through or strips of paper and create a very nice storage box out of it, some type of container that looks attractive. So many things you can do. Let's see, cardboard neighborhood box. You've got cardboard tube puppets. All you need are either paper towel rolls and paper bag. You can puppet. Some yarn. You've got the yarn hair. So many things, and people don't realize how many materials they have at home that can, be a lot of fun for kids. So anyway, I hope this was helpful in coming up with some ideas and activities for kids and for things you'd have fun doing at home. So enjoy your April. Till next time.